Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on this special show on NewsX on the Military History Seminar 2023 organized by Welham Boys School in Dehradun. I'm currently on the campus right now where a lot of learning has happened over the course of the 2 days as the school played host to a host of dignitaries from the Governor of Uttarakhand to the Governor of Arunachal Pradesh to several award-winning soldiers, brave hearts who have fought battles for the nation, from the Indian Army to the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy. So sit back as we get you the best bits of the Military History Seminar 2023. The special sessions, some key exclusive interviews and much more. Take a look.
See, the idea behind this seminar was, when we started it in 2017, the idea was that we wanted to bring a topic as nuanced as the military history into the realm of school education. Students hardly know about the history of the Indian Armed Forces, and we wanted to start a movement in that direction. I think we've kind of been successful in this movement from the last 7 years that we've been hosting it. Today, we have more than 450 students from across the nation as far as Sikkim having come here to attend this seminar.
आज एक समय है हमारे लिए कि we pay tribute to the men and the women, the warrior योद्धास जो भारत के हैं, जिन्होंने यूनिफॉर्म डाली, अपने देश के लिए सुप्रीम सैक्रिफाइस दी. देखिए, एक कंपैरिजन, गलवान के अंदर में 20 गलवान के बलवानों ने अपने प्राणों की आहुति दी. हमने उनके पार्थिव शरीर को उनके गांव, उनके परिवारों को भेजा. एक बिल्कुल डिवाइन तरीके से वी गिव देम द सेंड ऑफ. और दूसरी तरफ चाइना ने क्या किया? दे डिडंट इवन क्लेम द डेड बॉडीज दैट दे हैड. इट हैज बीन लर्न्ड मोर देन 100 डाइड देयर. और देखिए, ये जो गलवान की वो रात थी, 15 जून की रात, जब वहां मुठभेड़ हुआ, बिना हथियार एक गोली फायर किए हुए उनके 100 से ज्यादा को. जोर से ताली बजाइए. अंडरस्टैंड, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड कि आपके अंदर में डीएनए क्या है. आपका डीएनए, आपका खून, आपकी सोच विचार और धारणा क्या है. दिस यू गॉट टू लर्न फ्रॉम द मिलिट्री हिस्ट्री. मुझे आज बहुत खुशी है कि आपने 6 सेशंस को प्लान किया है और उस 6 सेशंस का जो स्पेक्ट्रम है वो मगध से शुरू होकर इस क्षण तक का है. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी दैट यू गोइंग टू लुक इनटू आवर warfare techniques, our art of warfare, our strategy, our concept, our design of warfare. ये जो एक बहुत सुंदर टचिंग सवाल पूछा था कि यूनिफॉर्म डालने के बाद में क्या होता है, एक ऐसा नशा, एक ऐसी लगन और एक ऐसा पैशन जो अंदर से ही ऑनर, करेज और वेलर. आपने एक चीज नोट की है कि ये जो वर्ड है ऑनर, अगर HON को छोड़ दें तो ये OUR हम सब का collective arena है.
I believe that we've now reached the stage where we should spread, disseminate and give this information on to other schools so that this, what we are doing, can benefit other schools all over India. We are the only school right now talking about military history of the Indian Armed Forces since 1947. So when you two things that we have done. One, we would like to spread this information. We don't want to charge anything for it. We would be happy if other children also get to know. Today, if you walk onto the street and you ask anybody what happened in the 65 war, 65 की लड़ाई में क्या हुआ, I don't think there are many people who can tell you on the street, and some people might not even know what happened in 62 or 71, that in Bangladesh was created and how and why. So that ignorance, that massive levels of ignorance which we have as a nation on our armed forces and what we have achieved, somebody has to bridge that gap.
To be honest, it was moments of pride and honor. And I'm exceedingly happy that we have touched this topic of military history. And this Welham initiative, and it's the 7th edition of this. I must compliment the school that they have shown this commitment, dedication and perseverance to the topic of military history. सच कहूँ तो आज एक बहुत अच्छा लगा कि आज के सेमिनार का थीम is stones of silence, myth and reality. I feel time has come that we must blow out the myths which has persisted for very long, and we must enjoy the reality, because we are at a very critical moment in the history of the nation itself. The path which we have taken, the transformation, modernization which we have taken, the resolve is going to take us to a different level now. I'm definite by 2047 we're going to be on the mantle of Vishwa Guru, Viksit Rashtra, Atmanirbhar Bharat and Sarvshresth Rashtra. For that, I think it is very important to understand the military history.
Kashmir is a typical example where invaders couldn't reach. Islam didn't come to Kashmir when Arabs came riding. It didn't happen. So it's a case study actually for people to think and ponder what happened in Kashmir, and especially what you see today. You forget about today, I'll take you back to what 11th century. So Kashmir was never invaded. Mongols did come in, but Mongols didn't follow Islam. They were there for a few years, then they went back. But what was happening was that Sufi, the cult which has started, and they were now coming from Persia into today's Wakhan corridor, then into Gilgit and towards the east. In Kashmir, there was a ruler, Hindu, Sahadev, and during his time, because of infighting, palace intrigues, whatever you may call it, you had a Buddhist coming from Ladakh, Rinchen, which now people debate, but ultimately he staged a mutiny. He took over the reins in Kashmir, became Raja of Kashmir, and then he wanted to convert to Hindus. The high priest of Hinduism said, no, he is a born Buddhist, so he can't be made a Hindu. So he picked up Islam. Now this is much before any invasion. In any case, Kashmir was never invaded, because between invaders and Kashmir stood Punch, the Loran Mandi Lohara Code, which I mentioned in the previous section. So then the Sufis, what they did, it's not only Sufis coming and preaching and then Kashmiris falling for it. No. What was happening inside Kashmir, Shaivism was equally liberal. So when the Muslim preachers came, and before Muslim preachers came in, Hindu rulers actually hired Muslim fighters from Punjab to guard their territory. So there are very many levels which actually were happening. So these Sufis, when they came in, first thing they found was they were peaceful, pacific version of Islam. So they found a commonality where Shaivism talked of unity of one. And they said also, we also believe in unity of one. And then we had somebody called Lal Deed. Lal Deed Hospital is there in Srinagar today, Laleshwari, who was a Hindu from Rishi cult, and she was questioning Murti Puja, and she was cursing Brahmins, as is the trend even today. So in this environment, when you had a dissatisfaction running inside Kashmir, and you had preachers coming from outside and saying, okay, don't worry, we all one, we all believe in one God, so let's unite. That's how the 5 cults or 5 orders of Sufism entered Kashmir.
I came here first time in 2017 when this activity started. That was the year also when military literary festival started in India. And nobody has ever thought of taking it to a level of school students. And believe you me, Uday, I have seen it from the times, and I appreciate the resilience of this idea. Darshan Singh, who started it, Shiv Kunal Verma, who's mentoring it, and Welham School. So over two principles I've seen. And the resilience I'm saying because when COVID happened, we did two of these sessions on the online, on a webinar mode. And the infectious energy that you see in students, I'm quite conscious of the fact that all of them are not going to join armed forces, neither are they going to become great military historians. But the message through your channel is national security is everybody's concern. Everyone has to own it up. And these kind of events are taking this message to our school students and school students of elite schools.
I was commissioned in June 1958, and my first posting was to Ambala. And I had all these various perceptions of what a great army we were and how we would train and how we would take India to greater glory, etc. But when I reached Ambala, my battalion was part of 4 Infantry Division. And what were we doing? We were supposed to be training for war, but we were building houses. The most versatile and famous division of World War II, 4 Indian Infantry Division, was building houses. And the person in charge was an officer who had never commanded a company, never commanded a battalion, never commanded a brigade, promoted to Major General through his political contacts. The reason I'm saying this to you is that we should be aware, as citizens of India, that the armed forces should be left alone to do what they're supposed to do without political interference, because that is only going to cause disaster. After building houses for a year, when the situation got very bad and China was attacking India, both in Aksai Chin and in Nifa, we had suffered a lot of casualties, but the Indian Prime Minister refused to accept the warning by Sardar Patel that China is not a friend, it is an enemy. But he didn't listen. Finally, in 1959, November, when people were protesting, finally 4 Infantry Division was moved for the defense of Nifa, a division which had not trained for 4 years. At that time, China was able to reach the borders because Tibet was a plateau, whereas we were taken to Nifa. It took 6 days for the train to reach Masamari. From there onwards, it took 6 months for us to reach our operation locations because we had to be transported by air to very difficult airfields at Walong and Daparijo and Tawang, etc.
It's an exceptional event. And I say this with my own information and knowledge of various schools and institutions across the country. When I first learnt of it from Kunal, I couldn't believe it that you're running a whole military history campaign from medieval times, ancient times, to recent times and beyond. So I'm very impressed with the idea, and I'm more impressed with what I have seen today. I think knowledge is power. And what the school is imparting to the students, their own school and so many more schools, is a very rich knowledge about the culture, traditions, and the military concepts that the country has followed ever since the medieval times. It's a great, great information effort. And I think it will benefit all of them as they grow in their own professions. Because one who is aware of the history and is aware of his traditions and customs, he will always be able to mold himself to the situations. He will be able to become a good leader tomorrow. So I want to compliment Welham's Boys School, the principal, their staff, Kunal, and everybody who's associated, also the chairman, Shri Darshan Singh ji, for the wonderful concept, the great conduct, and the lessons that they are carrying by organizing such an event here in the school.
The air war started on the 1st of September 1965 when we lost 4 vampires on the first day and 3 pilots. So that shook everybody. We were in Adhampur, further south of Pathankot, and we were all itching to join the fray which was going on between the Nats and the Misters from Pathankot versus the Sabres and 104s of the Pakistan Air Force. But for 6 days we waited, and in that time we did a little bit of night flying. I did 2 sorties at night on the Mister, and then we were declared fully ops. Myself and a chap called Flying Officer Dange were declared fully ops, and we were ready to go into action. But the Pakistani army's pressure on the Indian army was unrelenting, and therefore on the 6th of September, Prime Minister Shastri authorized the Indian army to attack across the international border in 2 sectors, the Sialkot sector and the Lahore sector. And on the early morning of 6th September, the Indian army walked across the international border. Now, we were expecting to be called into action on the 6th to go and attack Pakistani aircraft over their airfields. Well, they were still parked on the ground. But no such order came, and we were wondering why. Our squadron commander, Wing Commander Taneja, led a 4-aircraft formation on an armed sweep in the Gujranwala sector. They shot up a goods train and came back. But there was no call to support the Indian Army advance or to attack Pakistani airfields. This was extremely puzzling for us sitting in the crew room. And at about 1 o'clock, we went to the mess to have our lunch, and then we heard President of Pakistan, Field Marshal Ayub Khan, make a radio broadcast on Radio Pakistan. He said, the Indian Air Force has recklessly used its Air Force into action and widened the conflict, and Pakistan will have to respond. So we said, at least now we'll get the order to do something. But we waited and waited. And in the evening, the Pakistani Air Force struck Pathankot, where we lost 10 aircraft on the ground. Then they attacked Adhampur. Fortunately, the Sabre attack never took place, but a B-57 bomber came and destroyed a MiG-21, which was parked on the operational readiness platform. And then a Sabre attack over Halwara took place, where 2 of the attacking Sabres were shot down. Now we were still wondering what was going to happen next. We were told to go back to the mess, have an early dinner and sleep. And we were woken up at 3 a.m. by a messenger from the squadron to ask to report to the squadron at 4 a.m. So when we reported to the squadron at 4 a.m., the blackboard, the briefing board was made. Those days we had blackboards in which names were written in chalk. And there was a 12-aircraft mission planned to attack Sargodha.
So on a personal note, I've been seeing the military history seminar since grade 7th. What we've been told till now in our history books and the CBSE curriculum, or be it any curriculum, the idea of military history has been dropped out of us. If you look at our history books, we have the Ashokan period, colonial era, we have the partition of India. But there's this one chapter missing which is very important, because when we come to this point, we forget that the Indian armed forces are the shield of India. And we also forget that they need to be encouraged, they need to be remembered. Because once you do not remember the fallen, you forget the idea that they are the people who are standing to protect you. We host the military history seminar, brainchild of our chairman, Mr. Darshan Singh. The best thing about our military history seminar is that all the dignitaries who come over here are people who have given their lives, who've dedicated their lives towards the nation. We have Major General Ian Cardozo. One of his leg is missing. And there's a long story to it. We have the Governor of Arunachal Pradesh, Lieutenant General K.T. Parnaik. We had the Governor of Uttarakhand, Mr. Gurmeet Singh. So if you look at the number of dignitaries we have, the amount of wisdom and knowledge they have, which they could share it to us, supersedes anything. Because usually we forget that these people are very important in lives. They have come to such a point in life that their knowledge surpasses any textbook we could ever read. And that's why military history seminar is very dear to us. And once we host these people, we also ensure that the knowledge is not only limited to our school, because as the Indian textbooks say, it's all about sharing the knowledge. We also bring in much schools. This year we have the maximum number of students, be it 557 schools. 557 students with 37 schools. We'll notice that with so many students, with a wide array of students from all parts of the country, the idea of military history is spreading hail across. And I'm sure that in the next 10 years, military history is going to be something very important, and we're going to take it to a very big scale.
Frankly, I wasn't sure how the audience was going to be, because I think the toughest audience to engage with is the young audience, because you need to speak at their level. You also have to make sure that you don't pollute people's minds, because they are still in their formative years. And I wasn't sure at what level I should fly. But I am astounded and I'm pleasantly surprised at the quality of questions and at the level of engagement. It's a post-lunch session, so obviously I wasn't sure of the attention levels. So credit goes to the students and not to the panelists for actually keeping the energy levels up. And I hope that these events become events of introspection, where established notions of history are revisited, and perhaps you have greater clarity on how deep and how strong and how rooted the civilization is, because it's become a fashion to run down the civilization on multiple grounds. So I hope people do their reading, and I hope we produce warriors and scholars from institutions such as these. And I'm happy that you actually have had a military history seminar where you're able to discuss these aspects. It's surprising this is happening at the level of students and schools, when it should be actually happening at a different level altogether.
Well, I'm delighted to have been invited to participate in this military history seminar, and having seen the proceedings for the last 2 days, I'm absolutely delighted and impressed that so much effort has gone into conceiving and implementing this program. And the thought behind it is excellent, that the young people, boys and girls who are emerging from our schools, must have at least a certain amount of knowledge about the achievements of our military past and our ancient and recent history, so that when they grow up into adults, they will have this at the background and be conscious of national security, what it has meant in our past, the shortcomings, the lessons that have emerged from the past, and to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes in the future. So I think that's a very appropriate and well-considered step that Welham Boys School has taken to involve schools from all across North India and ensure that the children come to know of our past, of our present, and then they can think of the future.
I feel privileged to address you after the culmination of this wonderful seminar of military history. What I've seen in the school, and I've seen the way this whole seminar was conducted, leaves no doubt in my mind that not just the Welham's boys, but all these schools where the children have come from, they are destined to big things. I want to address you not as students or future leaders, but I already had a dream yesterday as to where all you people will rise and become. So my talk to you is essentially based on my perception that the children from these schools who have been groomed, who have been taught, and who have been disciplined. I use this frame of 3 words in Arunachal when I go to the districts and speak to the people there, especially to the schools and universities in Arunachal. And the key word is for all students to know that they ultimately must be, in Hindi they say, Shikshit, Anushasit, Prerit. These are 3 key words which apply to everybody.
And that's all we could pack in for you on this special episode. Hope you enjoyed watching. The bar has certainly been raised very high at the 2023 edition of the Military History Seminar at Welham Boys School in Dehradun. But the wait has started for next year. One wonders what lies in store. Well, the build-up has already started. With journalist Dinesh Thakur, Uday Pratap Singh signing off from Dehradun.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.